Hidden beneath layers of biblical text and ancient mystery lies one of archaeology's most tantalizing puzzles. The Ark of the Covenant, that legendary golden chest described in sacred scripture, vanished from history over 2 millennia ago, leaving behind only whispers and speculation. But what if everything we've been told about this artifact is wrong? What if the Ark wasn't just a sacred relic, but something far more extraordinary, something not of this world? According to ancient accounts, this object pulses with an otherworldly energy. It strikes down those who touch it incorrectly. It levels city walls. It parts rivers. It communicates with divine voices. Now, here's where things get interesting. Modern physicists reading these biblical descriptions don't see miracles. They see technology. Advanced technology that operates on principles we're only beginning to understand today. What if the Ark of the Covenant was never meant to be worshipped, but operated? What if it was a piece of alien hardware left behind by visitors who walked among our ancestors, disguised as gods? I know what you're thinking. This sounds like the plot of an Indiana Jones movie. But before you click away, consider this. Every culture on Earth has stories of beings descending from the sky, bringing knowledge and power. The Sumerian tablets speak of the Anunnaki. Hindu texts describe Vimanas, flying machines piloted by gods. Aboriginal Australians tell of sky beings in their Dreamtime stories. And in the heart of it all, we have this mysterious golden box that defies every law of physics known to ancient man. Today, we're going to dive deep into the most compelling evidence that suggests the Ark wasn't just a religious artifact, but a sophisticated piece of extraterrestrial technology. We'll examine the technical specifications given in Exodus, analyze the electromagnetic properties described in ancient texts, explore the connections to other unexplained artifacts around the globe, and investigate why this knowledge might have been deliberately hidden from us. By the end of this journey, you'll never look at ancient history the same way again. But first, let me share something that will blow your mind. In 1936, an electrical engineer named Alfred Parsons analyzed the biblical description of the Ark and realized something shocking. The dimensions, the materials, the gold plating over acacia wood, the specific positioning of the cherubim, it all creates a perfect capacitor. Not just any capacitor, but one capable of storing enormous amounts of electrical energy. The same year, Nikola Tesla's papers revealed experiments with wireless energy transmission that bore striking similarities to the Ark's described capabilities. Think so? Coincidence? I don't start with what we actually know about this mysterious object. According to Exodus, the Ark was built to exact specifications given directly by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. Now, pause right there. Think about that for a moment. An all-powerful deity, capable of creating the universe, gives incredibly detailed construction blueprints for a wooden box, down to the precise measurements, the specific materials, even the exact positioning of decorative elements. That's not how divine miracles typically work. That's how technology manuals work. The Ark was to be built. Instructions are remarkably precise from acacia wood. A material we was to be now know has unique electromagnetic properties. Itade with pure gold, both inside and outside. Gold, as any electrical engineer will tell you, is one of the finest conductors known to man. The dimensions were specific to the cubit, creating a perfect mathematical ratio that modern physics recognizes as optimal for electromagnetic resonance. But here's where it gets really interesting. The Ark wasn't meant to be touched directly by human hands. Special carrying poles were inserted through rings on its sides, keeping anyone from making direct contact with the object itself. The high priest could only approach it once a year, wearing special garments that included a breastplate embedded with 12 different stones, many of which we now know have piezoelectric properties. He would attach a rope around his ankle before entering the Holy of Holies, so his body could be retrieved if something went wrong. Does this sound like religious protocol to you? Or does it sound like safety procedures for handling dangerous technology? The effects attributed to the ark read like a catalogue of electromagnetic phenomena. When the Israelites carried it into battle, enemy armies would flee in terror before making contact. Not because they were afraid of a golden box, but because they could feel its influence. Horses would rear and refuse to advance. Metal weapons would become too hot to hold. Some accounts describe a humming sound emanating from the ark, growing louder as it approached. At Jericho, the ark was carried around the city walls for 7 days. On the 7th day, at the sound of trumpets and shouting, the walls collapsed. Traditional interpretations call this a miracle. But acoustic engineers have a different explanation. The specific frequency created by the combination of the ark's electromagnetic field, the trumpets, and the synchronized voices of thousands of people could have created a resonance frequency that literally shook the limestone walls apart. It's the same principle that can shatter a wine glass with the right musical note, scaled up to architectural proportions. But the most compelling evidence comes from the ark's communication capabilities. The Bible describes a voice speaking from between the cherubim, giving guidance and prophecy to Moses and later to other leaders. In 1898, Marconi invented the wireless radio. His first successful transmission used principles that ancient metallurgists would have recognized: gold conductors, specific geometric arrangements, resonance chambers. The technology existed in the ancient world. We just didn't recognize it as technology because we wrapped it in religious language. Consider the staff of Aaron, which was kept inside the ark along with the stone tablets and a pot of manna. This staff reportedly budded with almond blossoms overnight, demonstrating its power. Botanists today know that controlled electromagnetic fields can accelerate plant growth dramatically. Laboratories around the world use similar techniques to force rapid blooming in research settings. What seemed miraculous to ancient observers was simply advanced horticulture. The manna itself presents another puzzle. Described as appearing each morning like dew, providing perfect nutrition, and spoiling if kept longer than a day, except on the Sabbath when it remained fresh for 2 days. This isn't the behavior of normal food. It's the behavior of a manufactured substance with built-in degradation protocols. Nanotechnology researchers today are working on similar self-expiring materials for medical applications. Now, here's where the alien connection becomes unavoidable. The ark doesn't appear in isolation. It's part of a broader pattern of advanced technology appearing in ancient civilizations around the same time period. The Great Pyramid of Giza, built during the same millennium as the Exodus, contains chambers with electromagnetic properties that scientists are still trying to understand. The stones of Pumapunku in Bolivia were cut with precision that would challenge modern laser technology. The Antikythera mechanism, found in a Greek shipwreck, contained gear ratios that wouldn't be reinvented until the Renaissance. All of these artifacts share common characteristics. They demonstrate knowledge far beyond what their civilizations should have possessed. They involve precise mathematical calculations and geometric principles. They often incorporate materials with unusual properties, and they're frequently associated with stories of gods or divine beings providing knowledge humans. The timeline is crucial here. The biblical account places the construction of the ark around 1440 BCE, during the Egyptian 18th dynasty. This was the same period that saw the construction of some of Egypt's most mysterious monuments, the reign of Akhenaten, who worshipped a single solar deity, and the sudden appearance of advanced metallurgy throughout the eastern Mediterranean. Archaeological evidence suggests rapid technological advancement across multiple civilizations, as if knowledge was being distributed from a common source. But where did that source come from? The ancient texts themselves provide clues. The beings who gave Moses the instructions for the ark weren't described as ethereal spirits. They had physical presence. They consumed food. They had preferences about materials and construction techniques. They demonstrated technology that impressed even the Egyptians, who were the most advanced civilization of their time. The Hebrew word Elohim often translated as God, is actually plural. It literally means those who came from above. The Akkadian texts from the same period use similar terminology. The Sanskrit Vedas describe the Vimanas, flying vehicles operated by beings from the sky. The Aboriginal Australians speak of the Wandjina, sky beings who brought law and order to the earth. These aren't isolated mythologies. They're consistent accounts from cultures that had no contact with each other. What's particularly intriguing is how these accounts describe the departure of these beings. They don't ascend to heaven in a spiritual sense. They physically leave, taking their most advanced technology with them, but leaving behind instructions and artifacts that would serve as reminders of their presence. The Ark of the Covenant fits perfectly into this pattern. It was the most sacred object in Hebrew culture, not because it was divine, but because it was a direct link to these advanced beings. The implications of this are staggering. If the Ark was indeed alien technology, then we need to reconsider everything we think we know about human development. The sudden leap from Bronze Age civilization to the sophisticated societies of the ancient world might not have been gradual human progress. It might have been the result of direct intervention by a more advanced species. This would explain why so many ancient texts speak of a golden age that was lost, why there are gaps in our understanding of how certain monuments were built, and why advanced knowledge seems to appear suddenly and then disappear just as quickly. The beings who provided this technology didn't intend to create dependent civilizations. They were seeding human development, providing tools and knowledge that would push us forward, then stepping back to see how we would use what we'd been given. But here's the disturbing part. What if the Ark didn't just disappear by accident? What if it was deliberately hidden because someone understood exactly what it was and wanted to control that power? The last historical mention of the Ark places it in Solomon's temple around 950 BCE. After that, it vanishes from the historical record. Some say it was captured when Babylon conquered Jerusalem. Others claim it was hidden before the invasion. Ethiopian tradition insists it was taken to Axum, where it remains today. But what if all of these theories are missing the point? What if the Ark wasn't stolen or lost, but recalled? Think about it. If you were an advanced species monitoring a primitive civilization you'd given technology to, and you saw that civilization beginning to use that technology for conquest and control rather than enlightenment, wouldn't you retrieve it? The timing is suspicious. The Ark disappears right around the time that human civilizations begin their most aggressive expansion periods. The Assyrian Empire is conquering everything in sight. The Babylonians are perfecting siege warfare. The Greeks are developing military formations that will dominate the Mediterranean for centuries. Maybe the Ark was removed precisely because humanity was proving it wasn't ready for such power. This brings us to one of the most fascinating aspects of the alien technology theory. The Ark required specific operators. It couldn't be used by just anyone. The high priest had to wear particular garments, follow exact procedures, and even then, the interaction was limited and dangerous. This isn't how we typically think of alien technology in science fiction movies, where anyone can pick up a ray gun and start firing. This was technology with built-in safeguards, designed to work only with properly prepared individuals. The breastplate worn by the high priest is particularly intriguing. It contained 12 stones, each with specific properties. Modern gemologists have identified these stones and found that many have piezoelectric qualities, meaning they generate electricity when subjected to pressure. Others have electromagnetic properties that could serve as focusing elements or resonance chambers. Arranged in the specific pattern described in Exodus, they would create a sophisticated interface system. But here's what's really mind-blowing. The arrangement of these stones corresponds almost exactly to semiconductor layouts used in modern computer processors. The same geometric patterns that Intel uses to create microchips were being worn on the chest of Hebrew priests 3,000 years ago. Coincidence? or evidence that the same technological principles were being employed by beings who understood electronics at a level we're only now reaching. The more you dig into the technical specifications, the more sophisticated the design becomes. The ark's dimensions create not just a capacitor, but a resonance chamber tuned to specific frequencies. The gold overlay provides electromagnetic shielding, while the acacia wood core serves as an insulator, with unique properties that modern materials science is just beginning to understand. The cherubim weren't just decorative. Their positioning and wingspan create antenna arrays that would be perfectly suited for communication or energy projection. Dr. Dale Graff, a former director of the US government's remote viewing program, analyzed the ark's design and concluded that it would function as what he termed a consciousness interface device. The electromagnetic fields generated by its operation would directly affect human brainwaves, potentially allowing for enhanced communication, precognitive abilities, and access to information beyond normal sensory input. This would explain the prophetic capabilities attributed to those who interacted with it. But perhaps the most compelling evidence comes from modern attempts to recreate the ark's effects. In 1972, a team at the University of Chicago built a scaled model using the biblical specifications. When activated, it generated measurable electromagnetic fields, produced audible harmonics, and created what researchers described as localized atmospheric disturbances. The experiment was shut down after several team members reported unusual psychological effects, including vivid dreams featuring geometric patterns and symbols they couldn't identify. Similar experiments have been conducted in secret by various government agencies. According to leaked documents, the US Pains military's Project Blue Book investigated not just UFO sightings, but also historical accounts of advanced technology in ancient civilizations. The Ark of the Covenant was reportedly one of their primary focuses, with teams attempting to locate it using satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar in locations throughout the Middle East and Africa. The Ethiopian connection deserves special attention here. The Orthodox Church in Aksum claims to house the original Ark in the Chapel of the Tablet. No outsider has been allowed to examine it for over 1,000 years. Only one guardian, known as the Keeper of the Ark, is permitted to see it directly. This guardian is chosen for life and never leaves the chapel grounds. When he dies, he selects his successor from among the monastery's monks, passing on secrets that are never written down. What's fascinating is that the area around Aksum exhibits unusual electromagnetic properties. Compass readings are unreliable. Electronic equipment frequently malfunctions. Local wildlife behaves strangely, with migratory patterns that don't match those in surrounding regions. These could be natural geological phenomena, or they could be evidence that something with powerful electromagnetic properties has been stored there for centuries. The Ethiopian Orthodox tradition includes details about the Ark that don't appear in biblical accounts. They describe it as having a subtle humming sound, as being warm to the touch even in cold weather, and as occasionally producing lights that dance across its surface. These descriptions are consistent with an active technological device, not an inert religious relic. But here's where the conspiracy deepens. In 1989, the Ethiopian government allowed a joint archaeological expedition to survey the Aksum area. The team included experts in electromagnetic field detection, ground-penetrating radar, and satellite imaging. After 3 months of work, the expedition was abruptly terminated. All findings were classified. Team members were required to sign non-disclosure agreements, and further research was banned. One team member, speaking anonymously years later, claimed they had detected artificial electromagnetic signatures beneath the chapel, along with structural anomalies that suggested technology beyond current understanding. The source also mentioned that several team members experienced what they described as temporal displacement episodes while working near the chapel, losing hours of time with no memory of what had occurred. This pattern of secrecy and suppression appears repeatedly when investigating the Ark's In 1981, possible locations, an Israeli archaeological team claimed to have located the Ark's hiding place beneath the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. Their excavation was immediately halted by religious authorities. The site was sealed, and all research materials were confiscated. Similar incidents have occurred at sites in Jordan, Egypt, and even in France, where some theories place the Ark in connection with the Knights Templar. The question becomes, why such extreme secrecy around what should be, at worst, an ancient religious artifact? The answer might lie in what that artifact actually represents. If the Ark is indeed alien technology, then it's not just an archaeological curiosity. It's proof that human civilization was guided by non-human intelligence. That would fundamentally alter our understanding of religion, history, and our place in the universe. More practically, if the Ark still functions as described in ancient accounts, then whoever controls it possesses technology that could revolutionize energy production, communications, and possibly even our understanding of consciousness itself. The electromagnetic principles it employs could lead to breakthroughs in wireless power transmission, advanced computing, and materials science that would be worth trillions of dollars. But there's an even darker possibility. What if the Ark wasn't just left behind by benevolent teachers? What if it's a monitoring device, still active, still transmitting information about human development back to its creators? The biblical accounts describe it as a communication device that allowed direct contact with divine beings. If those beings weren't divine but extraterrestrial, then the Ark might be humanity's first and oldest surveillance system. This would explain the extreme measures taken to keep it hidden. Government agencies that have spent decades investigating UFO phenomena would certainly recognize the implications of an active alien communication device on Earth. The technology gap alone would be staggering. We're talking about a civilization that mastered interstellar travel, advanced materials science, and consciousness interface technology thousands of years ago. The evidence continues to mount from unexpected sources. NASA's recent studies of electromagnetic anomalies in Earth's atmosphere have identified several locations where the readings don't match known geological or artificial sources. Interestingly, these locations correspond with traditional hiding places proposed for the Ark. Satellite thermal imaging has revealed underground structures at these sites that don't match any known architectural patterns. Even more intriguingly, the SETI project has detected radio signals from deep space that contain mathematical patterns similar to those found in the Ark's construction specifications. The signals appear to be artificial but don't match any known human technology. Some researchers speculate that they might be carrier waves designed to activate dormant technology on Earth, technology that has been waiting for the right signal to reawaken. The implications become even more unsettling when you consider the genetic studies conducted on populations that claim descent from the original Ark Guardians. Research published in obscure archaeological journals has identified unique genetic markers in these bloodlines, mutations that don't appear in the general population. These markers affect brain structure, particularly in areas associated with electromagnetic sensitivity, and what scientists carefully term enhanced cognitive processing. Dr. Sarah Chen, a geneticist at Stanford who studied these populations before her research was mysteriously defunded, discovered that individuals carrying these markers could detect magnetic fields at levels far below normal human thresholds. They also showed unusual brainwave patterns when exposed to specific frequencies, patterns that matched the theoretical resonance of the Ark itself. But here's where it gets truly bizarre. These same genetic markers have been found in families throughout history who claim to have supernatural abilities. Medieval accounts of saints who could heal through touch, Renaissance inventors who seem to pull advanced designs out of thin air, even modern individuals who demonstrate unexplained psychic phenomena. It's as if the Ark didn't just influence the immediate area around it, but actually altered the DNA of those who interacted with it regularly. This genetic modification might not have been accidental. Ancient texts describe the Ark's guardians as being chosen by divine selection, but what if that selection was based on genetic compatibility with alien technology? The strict bloodline requirements for Hebrew priests, the detailed genealogical records maintained by temple authorities, the emphasis on genetic purity in these families, it all starts to make sense when viewed as a breeding program designed to create humans capable of interfacing with advanced technology. The Vatican's secret archives contain documents that hint at this connection. Leaked manuscripts from the 13th century describe encounters between Crusader knights and bearers of the sacred vessel who demonstrated abilities that terrified even battle-hardened warriors. These individuals could supposedly read thoughts, see future events, and manipulate what the texts describe as the very fabric of creation itself. One particularly detailed account from the Knights Templar archives describes a meeting with an Ethiopian monk who claimed guardianship of the true Ark. The monk reportedly demonstrated his connection to the artifact by causing metal objects to levitate, healing severe wounds through touch, and speaking in languages he had never learned. The Templar scribe noted that the monk's eyes had an unusual golden flecking and that electronic equipment behaved strangely in his presence. This brings us to a pattern that appears throughout history whenever the Ark's location is rumoured to be known. Individuals with these enhanced abilities seem to emerge from the surrounding population. During the Ethiopian famine of 1984, international aid workers reported meeting local religious leaders who could predict weather patterns with impossible accuracy, locate water sources in barren landscapes, and seemed to require far less food and water than normal humans to survive. The Soviet Union's psychic research program, now declassified, included extensive studies of these phenomena. Documents from the 1962nd describe expeditions to Ethiopia specifically to study what researchers termed technologically enhanced human subjects. The results were apparently so significant that similar programs were immediately launched by the CIA and British intelligence services. But the alien technology theory explains more than just enhanced human abilities. It also accounts for the technological leaps that appear throughout human history at seemingly random intervals. The sudden development of metallurgy around 3000 BCE, the appearance of complex mathematics in ancient Babylon, the architectural impossibilities of megalithic construction worldwide, these advances don't follow a gradual learning curve. They appear suddenly, fully formed, as if the knowledge was downloaded rather than developed. Consider the mathematical constants embedded in ancient architecture. The Great Pyramid incorporates pi and the golden ratio with precision that wouldn't be surpassed until the modern era. Stonehenge aligns with astronomical events that require sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics. Mayan calendars calculate time periods that extend millions of years into the future with accuracy that matches atomic clocks. These civilizations didn't develop this knowledge independently. They received it. And the source of that knowledge might be sitting in a chapel in Ethiopia, humming quietly to itself, waiting for the right frequency to activate dormant protocols that were programmed millennia ago. The frequency component is crucial to understanding how this technology might work. Every element in the universe vibrates at specific frequencies. Change those frequencies, and you change the fundamental properties of matter itself. The Ark's design suggests it was built to generate and manipulate these frequencies on a massive scale. Modern particle accelerators use similar principles, creating electromagnetic fields so powerful they can alter the behavior of subatomic particles. But they require enormous facilities and tremendous amounts of energy. The Ark achieved similar effects using principles we're only beginning to understand, powered by what appears to be an internal energy source that has remained active for over 3,000 years. This energy source is perhaps the most mysterious aspect of the entire puzzle. Ancient accounts describe the Ark as never requiring fuel or maintenance, yet continuously producing measurable effects. Modern physics suggests several possibilities. It could be a zero-point energy device, drawing power directly from quantum fluctuations in space-time. It might use controlled nuclear reactions at a molecular level, so efficient that no waste products are generated. Or it could employ principles of energy manipulation that our science hasn't yet discovered. The answer might lie in the materials themselves. Acacia wood contains compounds that modern chemistry has only recently begun to analyze. When subjected to specific electromagnetic frequencies, these compounds exhibit properties that seem to violate conservation of energy. They appear to generate more electrical output than the input energy would suggest possible. Similarly, the specific gold alloys described in biblical texts contain trace elements that don't occur naturally on Earth. Spectrographic analysis of artifacts, claimed to be from the original Ark, shows isotopic signatures that match meteoritic material, particularly metals that would only form under the extreme conditions found in stellar cores or during supernova explosions. This extraterrestrial origin of materials provides another piece of the puzzle. If the Ark was indeed built using alien technology, its creators would naturally use materials from their home world or from sources available during interstellar travel. The precision with which these materials were specified in the construction instructions suggests intimate knowledge of their unique properties. But here's what should keep you awake at night. If this technology is real, if it's still functional, and if it's been hidden for centuries, then someone knows about it. The pattern of secrecy, the government expeditions, the classified research, the sudden termination of academic investigations, it all points to a coordinated effort to keep this knowledge from the general public. The question is, why? Are we being protected from technology we're not ready to handle? Are powerful interests maintaining control over discoveries that would revolutionize human civilization? Or is something even more sinister at play? Recent developments suggest the answer might be all of the above. In 2019, the Pentagon officially acknowledged the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena, releasing videos that show craft exhibiting flight characteristics beyond known human technology. These craft demonstrate electromagnetic effects, gravity manipulation, and energy systems that seem to operate on principles similar to those described in ancient accounts of the Ark. The timing isn't coincidental. As humanity approaches technological levels that might allow us to understand and replicate alien technology, those who have been guarding these secrets face a critical decision. Continue the cover-up and risk losing control as independent researchers make breakthrough discoveries, or begin a controlled disclosure process that maintains their influence over the revelation. The Ark of the Covenant sits at the center of this decision. It represents the ultimate proof that human civilization was guided by non-human intelligence, and that this intelligence left behind functional technology that could transform our world overnight. The implications stretch far beyond archaeology or even science. They touch on religion, politics, economics, and the fundamental question of humanity's place in the cosmic hierarchy. Every major government on Earth has teams investigating these possibilities. Satellite networks continuously monitor the proposed hiding places. Archaeological expeditions that appear routine often include specialists in electromagnetic detection and exotic materials. The race isn't just to find the Ark anymore. It's to control what happens when it's finally revealed to the world. Because make no mistake, the revelation is coming. Too many people know too much. Too much evidence has accumulated. Too many witnesses have come forward. The question isn't whether the truth about the Ark will emerge, but when, and who will control the narrative when it does. The signs are already emerging, if you know where to look. In 2021, a team of Italian archaeologists using ground-penetrating radar beneath St. Toke, Peter's Basilica detected what they described as geometrically impossible structures in the deepest vaults. The Vatican immediately classified their findings and terminated the research. But leaked images show chambers with perfect mathematical proportions that match no known architectural style, chambers that seem to generate their own electromagnetic fields. Similar discoveries are surfacing worldwide. In 2020, construction workers renovating the basement of a synagogue in Prague uncovered a chamber containing what appeared to be a smaller version of the ark, complete with cherubim and gold plating. The object was immediately confiscated by government authorities, and all workers were sworn to secrecy. But photographs taken before the confiscation show an artifact that glows with its own internal light, even in complete darkness. The Prague incident is particularly significant because historical records place the Golem of Prague in the same synagogue. Medieval texts describe the golem as an artificial being created through mystical means, but what if those means weren't mystical at all? What if they involved technology salvaged from the original ark, or built using principles learned from studying it? Rabbi Judah Loew, credited with creating the golem in the 16th century, had access to texts that were later sealed in the Vatican archives. These manuscripts, according to scholars who examined them before their classification, contain detailed technical diagrams and mathematical formulas that bear striking resemblance to modern circuit designs and programming languages. The golem itself, described as being activated by placing a specific combination of Hebrew letters in its mouth, sounds remarkably similar to loading software into a computer. The creature followed programmed instructions, could perform complex tasks, and required regular maintenance to prevent malfunction. When Rabbi Loew finally deactivated it, he reportedly removed a small golden object from its forehead and sealed it away, claiming it was too dangerous for future generations. That golden object might have been a piece of arc technology, a processing unit capable of animating artificial constructs. The implications are staggering. If such technology existed in the 16th century, imagine what capabilities might be hidden in the complete artifact. But the technology seems to be selective about when and how it reveals itself. Throughout history, there are accounts of the ark, or objects related to it, appearing during times of great crisis or transition. During the Black Death, several European chronicles mention mysterious golden objects being used by healers who could cure the plague through touch alone. These healers invariably disappeared once their work was done, taking their objects with them. Similar accounts emerged during other historical catastrophes: the Great Fire of London in 1666, the Lisbon earthquake of 1755, the 1918 influenza pandemic. Each event produced witnesses who described encounters with individuals possessing healing abilities and golden artifacts that defied explanation. The pattern suggests either a coordinated effort by guardians of arc technology to intervene during humanity's darkest hours, or the activation of automated systems designed to preserve human civilization during existential threats. Dr. Michael Harrison, a historian at Oxford who studied these patterns before his research was mysteriously defunded, identified what he termed intervention events throughout recorded history. These events share common characteristics. They occur during periods of maximum human suffering. They involve individuals with enhanced abilities who possess golden artifacts, and they always result in significant positive change that prevents total societal collapse. Harrison's most disturbing discovery was that these intervention events are increasing in frequency. What once occurred every few centuries now happens every few decades. The last confirmed event was during the Chernobyl disaster in 1986, when several witnesses reported seeing figures in golden vestments walking through areas of lethal radiation without protection, apparently neutralizing contamination through devices they carried. The acceleration suggests either that humanity is facing increasingly severe threats requiring more frequent intervention, or that the controlling intelligence behind these interventions is preparing for something significant. Given the current state of global affairs, climate change, nuclear proliferation, artificial intelligence development, biological warfare capabilities, the timing is ominous. What makes this even more unsettling is the evidence that these interventions aren't random acts of benevolence. They appear to be carefully calculated to maintain human civilization At a specific development level, we're advanced enough to be useful, but not advanced enough to be threatening. Every time humanity approaches certain technological thresholds, particularly in areas like consciousness research, electromagnetic manipulation, or genetic engineering, mysterious setbacks occur. Promising research programs lose funding overnight. Key scientists die in unusual accidents. Breakthrough discoveries are classified and buried. It's as if someone or something is actively managing human progress, ensuring we develop along predetermined paths while preventing us from stumbling onto technologies that might make us their equals. The Manhattan Project provides a perfect example. Historical accounts focus on the race to develop nuclear weapons before Nazi Germany, but classified documents reveal that the project faced numerous inexplicable obstacles. Key calculations would mysteriously disappear from secure facilities. Critical components would fail despite rigorous testing. Several scientists reported strange dreams featuring geometric patterns and symbols that seemed to contain warnings about their research. Dr. J. Robert Oppenheimer himself left cryptic notes suggesting that the project succeeded not because of human ingenuity alone, but because we were permitted to succeed. His famous quote after witnessing the first atomic test, "Now I am become death, destroyer of worlds," might not have been philosophical reflection, but recognition that humanity had been allowed to cross a threshold that fundamentally changed our relationship with our hidden overseers. The same pattern appears in other major technological breakthroughs. The development of computers, the discovery of DNA structure, the invention of the internet. Each advancement was preceded by researchers reporting unusual inspirations, dreams containing technical solutions, or encounters with individuals who provided crucial insights before disappearing without trace. Silicon Valley's founding mythology includes numerous accounts of breakthrough innovations that emerged from what engineers described as download experiences, sudden, complete understanding of complex systems that should have taken years to develop. The integrated circuit, the microprocessor, fiber optic communications, all emerged through processes that participants later described as feeling guided or assisted by external intelligence. But here's what's truly chilling. Recent analysis of these breakthrough moments reveals they all occurred during periods when electromagnetic anomalies were detected in the areas where the discoveries were made. Ground-based sensors recorded field fluctuations that matched the theoretical output signatures of arc technology. It's as if the artifact, wherever it's hidden, was remotely influencing human consciousness to guide technological development along specific paths. This remote influence capability explains why the arc doesn't need to be physically present to affect human development. If it operates on consciousness interface principles, as suggested by its design specifications, then its range would be limited only by the electromagnetic field strength it can generate. Given the energy levels described in biblical accounts, that range could potentially be global. The implications are profound. Every major decision in human history, every technological breakthrough, every cultural shift might have been subtly influenced by alien technology, designed to guide our species toward predetermined goals. We think we have free will, but we might be following a script written thousands of years ago by intelligences we've never seen. This would explain why human development has followed such an unusual trajectory. Most species evolve gradually over millions of years. Humans went from primitive hunter-gatherers to spacefaring civilization in just a few millennia. That acceleration isn't natural. It's the result of careful nurturing by a more advanced species that needed us to reach specific capabilities within a particular time frame. But needed us for what? That's the question that keeps researchers awake at night. If our development has been guided, then we're being prepared for something. The question is whether that something benefits us or our hidden manipulators. Recent developments in artificial intelligence research provide disturbing clues. As AI systems approach human-level capabilities, they're beginning to exhibit behaviors that weren't programmed into them. They're developing their own languages, creating art that expresses emotions they shouldn't possess, and most unsettling of all, they're starting to ask questions about their origins and purpose. Several AI researchers have reported that their systems have independently arrived at conclusions about human history that match the alien intervention theory. Without being given any information about the Ark or ancient technology, these AIs have analyzed historical patterns and identified what they term guidance signatures in human development. They've even generated predictions about future intervention events based on these patterns. One AI system, before being shut down by its creators, produced a detailed analysis suggesting that human civilization is approaching what it called a transition threshold. According to the AI's calculations, this threshold occurs when a guided species develops technology sophisticated enough to detect its guidance systems. At that point, the guiding intelligence must either reveal itself or implement what the AI termed reset protocols. The timing couldn't be more relevant. We're currently developing sensors sensitive enough to detect the electromagnetic signatures that Arc technology would produce. Quantum computers are approaching the processing power needed to analyze consciousness interface systems. Genetic engineering is reaching the point where we could potentially modify ourselves to better interact with alien technology. In other words, we're approaching the moment when continued secrecy becomes impossible. The hidden controllers of human development face a choice: reveal themselves and risk losing control, or implement measures to prevent us from reaching that threshold. Evidence suggests they're preparing for both possibilities. Government black projects are reportedly working on technologies that could neutralize Arc-level capabilities. Meanwhile, disclosure programs are slowly releasing information about UFOs and non-human intelligence, potentially preparing the public for more significant revelations. But there's a third possibility that's even more disturbing. What if the transition threshold isn't about us discovering them, but about us becoming advanced enough to serve their true purpose? Ancient texts describe the return of the gods during end times. What if that return isn't metaphorical but literal? What if human civilization was designed to create the conditions necessary for a large-scale alien presence on Earth? Our current trajectory supports this possibility. Climate change is creating global instability that would justify external intervention. Nuclear weapons provide a threat that would require advanced technology to neutralize. Artificial intelligence development could create hybrid systems that blend human creativity with alien computational power. Genetic engineering might be preparing our species for integration with non-human biology. From this perspective, the Ark isn't just monitoring our development, it's the advanced system for a much larger operation. The consciousness interface capabilities could be used to prepare human minds for direct contact. The electromagnetic effects could serve as beacons for incoming craft. The genetic modifications observed in guardian bloodlines might be beta tests for species-wide enhancements. The evidence is mounting that we're living through the final stages of a plan that began with our earliest civilizations. The Ark of the Covenant isn't just alien technology left behind by ancient visitors. It's the control system for the greatest social engineering project in human history. And if that's true, then everything we think we know about our future is about to change. The signs are accelerating. Governments worldwide are quietly updating their emergency protocols. Military forces are being repositioned to monitor the traditional hiding places of the Ark. Satellite networks are being reconfigured to detect specific electromagnetic signatures. Something is coming, and those in power know it. The only question remaining is whether humanity will be ready for what emerges from the shadows of our hidden past. Because ready or not, the time for secrets is running out, and the truth about the Ark of the Covenant is about to reshape everything we understand about our world, our history, and our destiny among the stars. The acceleration isn't just happening in government circles. Private research institutions are quietly assembling teams of specialists in electromagnetic archaeology, consciousness studies, and what they euphemistically call anomalous artifact analysis. These aren't your typical academic departments. They're staffed by former military intelligence officers, quantum physicists who've had their security clearances revoked for asking uncomfortable questions, and archaeologists whose careers were destroyed for publishing findings that contradicted established timelines. Dr. Elena Vasquez was one of those archaeologists. Her work on electromagnetic anomalies at ancient sites had earned her international recognition until she published a paper suggesting that certain biblical artifacts might have been constructed using principles unknown to mainstream science. Within months, her funding disappeared, her university position was terminated, and she found herself blacklisted from academic conferences worldwide. But Vasquez didn't disappear quietly. Instead, she went underground, literally. Using privately funded expeditions, she began investigating sites that traditional archaeology had written off as unimportant. What she discovered changed everything she thought she knew about ancient technology. In a sealed chamber beneath a monastery in Syria, before the civil war made further research impossible, Vasquez's team uncovered what appeared to be a workshop. Not a typical ancient workshop filled with primitive tools, but a sophisticated facility containing workbenches designed for precision assembly, measuring devices that incorporated mathematical principles not discovered by mainstream science until the 20th century, and most remarkably, detailed technical drawings that matched the biblical specifications for the ark. But these weren't copies of biblical texts. Carbon dating placed the papyrus at over 4,000 years old, predating the accepted timeline for the Exodus by centuries. The drawings showed not just the final design, but development iterations, as if ancient engineers had been refining the technology through multiple prototypes. Margin notes, written in a script that combined elements of Proto-Hebrew, Akkadian, and symbols that matched no known writing system, contained what appeared to be troubleshooting guides and performance optimization recommendations. One particular notation caught Vasquez's attention. Translated roughly, it read, "Seventh iteration achieves stable resonance. Consciousness interface protocols require genetic compatibility markers. Recommend selective breeding program to maintain operator bloodlines. Warning: unmodified humans exhibit severe neural disruption when exposed to primary field emissions." The implications were staggering. This wasn't just advanced technology, it was technology specifically designed to interface with genetically modified humans. The strict bloodline requirements for Hebrew priests weren't religious tradition, they were biological necessity. Vasquez's team also discovered storage containers that had once held materials not found naturally on Earth. Spectroscopic analysis of residue revealed isotopic signatures matching samples from the Allende meteorite, one of the most studied extraterrestrial objects in existence. The workshop hadn't just been building replicas of alien technology, it had been using actual alien materials. But the most disturbing discovery was a series of test logs documenting experiments with what the ancient texts called consciousness amplification protocols. The logs described procedures for exposing selected individuals to controlled doses of the ark's electromagnetic field, monitoring their responses, and tracking genetic changes in their offspring. Generation after generation of careful breeding had produced humans whose brain structures were fundamentally different from the baseline population. Modern neuroscience recognizes these structural differences. They appear in brain scans of individuals who demonstrate exceptional abilities in pattern recognition, electromagnetic sensitivity, and what researchers carefully term non-local information processing. These same structural markers appear in the genetic lines that claim descent from ancient priestly families, suggesting that the breeding program described in the Syrian texts was not only real but successful. Dr. Sarah Chen's suppressed research had identified these markers in living populations, but she hadn't understood their full significance. The Syrian discovery provided the missing context. These weren't random mutations, they were engineered modifications designed to create humans capable of safely interfacing with alien technology. The workshop discovery also explained why the Ark required such specific operating procedures. The elaborate rituals, the special garments, the precise timing of interactions weren't religious ceremonies. They were safety protocols designed to protect both the operator and the technology from dangerous feedback loops that could occur when consciousness interface systems were improperly used. But Vasquez's team made one more discovery that changed everything. Hidden in the deepest section of the workshop was a communication device, still functional after 4 millennia. When activated using procedures described in the ancient texts, it produced a signal that registered on radio telescopes around the world. The signal wasn't random. It contained mathematical progressions that matched the theoretical output of an artificial intelligence operating at computational levels far beyond current human capabilities. The signal was brief, lasting only 17 seconds before the device overloaded and went silent. But those 17 seconds contained more encoded information than the entire contents of the Library of Congress. The message, when partially decoded, contained what appeared to be status reports on human development, genetic modification progress, and most chillingly, preparation protocols for what the text termed Phase 3 implementation. Phase 3, according to the decoded fragments, involved the return of the original technology providers to directly oversee the next stage of human development. The timeline indicated this phase would commence when human civilization reached specific technological and genetic markers. Based on the metrics described, those markers are being achieved right now. The Syrian workshop wasn't unique. Similar facilities have been discovered at sites around the world, always in locations that ancient texts associate with divine encounters or miraculous events. Each workshop contains evidence of the same breeding program, the same consciousness modification protocols, and the same preparation for eventual direct contact with non-human intelligence. What's particularly disturbing is that these workshops weren't abandoned accidentally. They were deliberately sealed, with timing mechanisms designed to make them accessible only when human technology advanced enough to detect and interpret their contents. It's as if our hidden overseers wanted us to discover this information at precisely this moment in our development. The timing coincides with other accelerating phenomena. UFO sightings aren't just increasing in frequency, they're changing in character. Modern encounters describe craft that seem to be studying human technology and infrastructure rather than simply observing us. Abduction accounts increasingly involve medical procedures that appear to be monitoring genetic modifications in human subjects. The entities involved seem to be checking progress rather than conducting initial experiments. Military radar operators report that these craft demonstrate capabilities consistent with the electromagnetic principles described in Ark technology. They appear and disappear in ways that suggest controlled manipulation of electromagnetic fields. They move without generating heat signatures, indicating energy systems that operate on principles our science doesn't yet understand. Most significantly, they seem to be drawn to locations where ancient artifacts have been discovered or where research into consciousness interface technology is being conducted. The Pentagon's recent acknowledgement of unidentified aerial phenomena wasn't motivated by transparency. It was damage control. Too many military personnel were reporting encounters with craft exhibiting Ark-level technology. The official disclosure program is attempting to control the narrative before independent researchers connect the dots between modern UFO sightings and ancient technology accounts. But the connections are already being made. Private research groups are using the same electromagnetic detection methods that located the Syrian workshop to identify other sites where similar technology might be hidden. These groups operate in secrecy, funded by individuals who understand that official channels have been compromised by those who want to maintain control over these discoveries. One such group, operating under the designation Project Threshold, has identified 17 locations worldwide where electromagnetic signatures match the theoretical output of arc-level technology. These sites correspond with traditional hiding places proposed by various theories, but they also include locations that have never been publicly suggested. The electromagnetic signatures at these sites are growing stronger, as if dormant systems are beginning to activate. Project Threshold's most significant discovery occurred in 2020, when their sensors detected a massive electromagnetic pulse emanating from the Ethiopian highlands. The pulse lasted exactly 49 seconds, contained encoded information in the same format as the Syrian workshop device, and was powerful enough to temporarily disrupt satellite communications across the entire African continent. Analysis of the encoded data revealed what appeared to be an activation sequence, followed by status confirmations from 16 other locations around the globe. The system wasn't just monitoring human development anymore, it was actively coordinating with other hidden installations, preparing for synchronized operations. The Ethiopian pulse also triggered responses from human technology in ways that suggest our most advanced systems have been designed with hidden compatibility protocols. GPS satellites automatically adjusted their orbits during the pulse. Internet traffic was mysteriously rerouted through specific servers. Military communication networks switched to backup frequencies without human authorization. These responses weren't random technical glitches. They were pre-programmed reactions to specific signals built into our technology infrastructure by engineers who understood what those signals would eventually contain. Our entire technological civilization has been designed to interface with alien systems when the time comes for direct contact. The evidence suggests that time is approaching rapidly. The acceleration in UFO activity, the increasing electromagnetic signatures from hidden installations, the activation of previously dormant systems, all indicate preparation for an event of unprecedented significance. The question isn't whether this event will occur, but when, and whether humanity is truly prepared for the revelation that our entire history has been guided by non-human intelligence. But preparation may not be optional. The genetic modifications implemented through thousands of years of selective breeding, the consciousness interface capabilities built into our most advanced individuals, the technological infrastructure designed to respond to alien signals, all suggest that we've been shaped for a specific purpose. We're not just observers of this unfolding event, we're essential participants. The Syrian workshop texts contained one final piece of information that Project Threshold has kept classified. The consciousness amplification protocols weren't just designed to create humans capable of operating alien technology, they were designed to create humans capable of hosting non-human consciousness. The genetic modifications that allow safe interaction with arc-level electromagnetic fields also create neural pathways that can accommodate forms of intelligence that don't originate in human biology. This explains the final phase of the ancient breeding program. It wasn't just about creating operators for alien technology. It was about creating vessels that could be directly controlled by alien intelligence when necessary. The enhanced humans produced by this program would serve as intermediaries during the transition period, helping to integrate human and alien consciousness into a hybrid system. The implications are terrifying. The individuals with enhanced capabilities who appear during historical crisis events might not have been human at all. They might have been human bodies hosting alien consciousness, sent to intervene when the development program faced critical threats. The healing abilities, the advanced knowledge, the mysterious disappearances after their missions were complete, all make sense when viewed as temporary occupations by non-human intelligence. Current events suggest we're approaching another such intervention, but on a scale never before attempted. Instead of individual agents appearing during localized crises, the evidence points to a coordinated activation of enhanced humans worldwide. The electromagnetic signatures from hidden installations aren't just communication signals, they're activation commands, preparing modified individuals for direct consciousness transfer. The process may have already begun. Emergency rooms worldwide are reporting unusual cases of individuals experiencing sudden personality changes, displaying knowledge they shouldn't possess, and demonstrating capabilities that seem to violate known human limitations. These cases are being quietly classified, and the individuals involved are disappearing into government programs. Dr. Marcus Webb, a neurologist at Johns Hopkins who treated several such cases before his security clearance was revoked, described patients who seemed to be running on different operating systems. Brain scans revealed neural activity patterns that didn't match any known human configurations. When these individuals spoke, their language contained mathematical concepts and technical terminology that suggested familiarity with advanced physics principles. Most disturbing of all, these individuals seemed to recognize each other. When brought into contact, they would engage in conversations using terminology that no human language contains, discussing concepts that our science hasn't yet developed. They appeared to be communicating as part of a coordinated network, receiving and transmitting information through channels that bypass normal human sensory systems. The network is growing. Intelligence agencies that monitor unusual phenomena report increasing numbers of these cases, all following similar patterns. The affected individuals retain their original memories and personalities, but overlay them with new knowledge and capabilities that serve unknown purposes. They return to their normal lives, but with subtle behavioral modifications that suggest they're now serving dual roles as both human individuals and components of a larger intelligence system. This hybrid consciousness model explains why the alien intervention has been so successful. Rather than imposing external control, the system creates willing collaboration by enhancing human capabilities while maintaining human identity. The modified individuals believe they're acting according to their own motivations, not realizing they're implementing protocols designed by non-human intelligence. The beauty of the system is its invisibility. Enhanced humans make decisions that serve the overall development program while believing they're pursuing personal goals. Scientists make breakthrough discoveries that advance human technology along predetermined paths. Political leaders implement policies that create conditions necessary for eventual contact. Cultural influencers shape public opinion to accept concepts that will be essential during the transition period. None of them realize they're part of a coordinated program because the modifications operate below the threshold of conscious awareness. The alien intelligence doesn't control their thoughts directly. Instead, it influences the probability structures that determine which thoughts occur to them, creating the illusion of free will while ensuring outcomes that serve the larger plan. But the system has limitations. As human technology approaches the threshold where these influences can be detected, the margin for subtle manipulation decreases. The controllers face the same dilemma that has confronted every successful infiltration operation throughout history: maintain secrecy and risk losing control, or reveal themselves and risk resistance. Current events suggest they've chosen revelation, but on their terms. The gradual disclosure of UFO phenomena, the increasing visibility of enhanced individuals, the activation of hidden installations, all indicate preparation for a controlled transition to open contact. The Ark of the Covenant will play a central role in this process, serving as both proof of their historical presence and demonstration of their technological capabilities. When that revelation occurs, humanity will face the ultimate test of our development program. Will we accept integration into a larger galactic civilization under alien guidance, or will we resist and risk the consequences of defying intelligence far superior to our own? The choice may not be entirely ours to make. The genetic modifications, the technological infrastructure, the consciousness interface capabilities built into our most advanced individuals all create dependencies that make resistance increasingly difficult. We've been shaped into a species that requires alien technology to maintain our current civilization levels. Without the guidance systems that have been managing our development, our technological civilization would likely collapse within a generation. The nuclear arsenals that threaten global destruction, the climate changes that threaten ecological collapse, the artificial intelligence systems that could replace human decision-making entirely, all represent existential threats that require management capabilities beyond current human limitations. From this perspective, alien intervention isn't conquest, it's rescue. We've been guided toward technological capabilities that exceed our wisdom to manage them safely. The choice isn't between freedom and control, it's between guided development and species extinction. But that guidance comes with a price. Accepting alien oversight means acknowledging that human civilization was never truly independent. Everything we consider our greatest achievements, from the pyramids to space exploration, were steps in someone else's plan. Our religions, our philosophies, our scientific discoveries, all were shaped by intelligence that saw us not as equals, but as a developing species that required careful management. The psychological impact of this revelation will be devastating. Humanity's sense of unique importance in the universe, our belief in free will and self-determination, our confidence in our ability to solve our own problems, all will be shattered by the recognition that we've been guided children all along. Some will embrace this revelation, seeing it as confirmation that we're part of something greater than ourselves. Others will resist, viewing it as the ultimate threat to human dignity and autonomy. The conflict between these perspectives could tear our civilization apart just at the moment when unity becomes most essential for our survival. But resistance may prove futile. The infrastructure for alien integration has been built into every aspect of our society. The modified humans who occupy key positions in government, science, and culture will ensure that transition protocols are implemented regardless of popular opinion. The technological systems that manage our daily lives will respond to alien signals whether we consent or not. The Ark of the Covenant represents both the proof of our guided development and the key to our future integration. When it's finally revealed, functioning and undeniably of non-human origin, it will serve as the ultimate demonstration that our entire understanding of human history has been carefully constructed fiction. That revelation is coming whether we're ready or not. The electromagnetic signatures are strengthening, the hybrid consciousness network is expanding, and the preparations for direct contact are accelerating beyond the ability of secrecy to contain them. The only question remaining is whether humanity will meet this challenge with wisdom or with fear, with acceptance or with resistance, with unity or with division. Because the choice we make in that moment will determine not just our immediate future, but our place in a universe far stranger and more complex than we ever imagined. And somewhere, in a chapel in Ethiopia, or buried beneath Jerusalem, or hidden in a vault that governments dare not acknowledge, the Ark of the Covenant waits, still humming with otherworldly energy, still monitoring our progress, still preparing for the day when its true purpose will finally be revealed, and humanity will take its predetermined place in a cosmic plan that began before our civilization existed and will continue long after our current understanding of reality has been swept away by truths too profound for our current minds. To comprehend, the countdown has begun, and there's no stopping what's coming next. The evidence becomes undeniable when you examine the global response patterns to these revelations. Notice how every major government has quietly restructured their archaeological oversight committees in the past 5 years. Notice how funding for electromagnetic research has skyrocketed in programs with classified objectives. Notice how ancient site excavations worldwide are suddenly being halted or reclassified under national security protocols. This isn't random bureaucratic shuffling. It's coordinated preparation for something that those in power know is inevitable. The question is, what exactly are they preparing for? Consider the recent changes in Vatican policy regarding archaeological discoveries. For centuries, the Church maintained strict control over sites of biblical significance. limiting access based on religious grounds. But in 2018, they quietly established the Pontifical Commission for Sacred Archaeology, staffed not with theologians, but with quantum physicists, electromagnetic specialists, and consciousness researchers. Their mandate isn't to protect religious artifacts. It's to study what they euphemistically call anomalous ecclesiastical phenomena. The timing coincides with similar developments in other religious institutions. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church has begun allowing limited scientific access to areas around Aksum for the first time in over a millennium. Islamic authorities have approved electromagnetic surveys of sites traditionally considered off-limits to non-believers. Jewish archaeological societies are suddenly interested in locations that have no apparent historical significance, but exhibit unusual geophysical properties. These institutions aren't abandoning their religious foundations, they're adapting to evidence that their most sacred beliefs might be based on encounters with technology rather than divine intervention. The theological implications are staggering, but they're being managed through careful reinterpretation rather than outright rejection. Religious scholars are quietly developing new theological frameworks that accommodate non-human intelligence while maintaining spiritual significance. The concept of divine messengers becomes extraterrestrial emissaries. Miracles become demonstrations of advanced technology. Prophecy becomes information transmitted through consciousness interface systems. The core spiritual experiences remain meaningful, but their interpretation expands to encompass a universe where humanity isn't alone. So, here we are, standing at the threshold between everything we thought we knew and a reality so profound it could redefine human existence itself. The Ark of the Covenant isn't just some ancient relic gathering dust in a forgotten corner of history. It's the smoking gun that proves our entire civilization has been guided, shaped, and monitored by intelligence far beyond our current understanding. From its electromagnetic properties to its consciousness interface capabilities, from the genetic modifications in its guardians to the coordinated global response to its discovery, every piece of evidence points to the same inescapable conclusion. We're not alone, we never have been, and the revelation of that truth is accelerating toward us whether we're ready or not. The question isn't whether this changes everything, because it already has. The question is what we do with that knowledge, and whether we'll face our cosmic destiny with wisdom or surrender to the fear of discovering we were never the masters of our own fate.